Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're exploring Ken Wilber's ideas about clearing, awakening, and growing.
Cool.
As you know, these are like powerful pathways to personal transformation. And we're going to go beyond just like summarizing his work. We're going to uncover like practical nuggets you can actually use in your life.
I love that.
So get ready to dig deep and uncover some new insights about yourself.
I'm ready. Well, what intrigues me about Wilber is how he connects psychology, spirituality, and even developmental theory. It's not just self-help.
Right.
It's about understanding the intricate tapestry of our being.
Yeah, it's like he's giving us a blueprint for understanding the whole human experience, right?
I think so.
So let's start with clearing. Wilber talks about this idea of the shadow, which might sound a bit ominous, but it's actually crucial for growth.
It is.
I have to admit this concept was new to me.
Really?
Did you know that this idea of a shadow is a relatively recent discovery?
It is. Just imagine, about a century ago, we uncovered this hidden dimension within us. The unconscious, repressed aspects of ourselves. It's like realizing there's a whole other room in your house you never knew existed.
And it's not just some abstract concept either. This shadow actually affects our daily lives, especially how we interact with others.
Of course.
Wilber says we project these unwanted parts of ourselves onto others. And he uses the example of someone with control issues projecting onto their boss.
That's a classic example. Instead of acknowledging their own need for control, they perceive their boss as overbearing, amplifying the conflict. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Totally.
Based on what we're pushing away within ourselves.
Have you ever noticed that happening in your own life?
Oh, all the time.
Like, think about a time you had an extremely strong reaction to someone. What qualities bothered you the most about them?
Oh, yeah.
Could those be reflections of something you're uncomfortable with in yourself?
It's a powerful question for self-reflection. And it's not just about negative traits. We can project positive qualities onto others, too.
Oh, interesting.
Think of intense admiration or hero worship. Could it be we're projecting potential that we haven't fully embraced in ourselves?
Wow, that's a completely new way of looking at it. So how can we spot those shadow projections in our own lives?
Pay attention to your emotional reactions. Those intense feelings of anger, frustration, or even excessive admiration. Could be like flashing neon signs pointing to your shadow. They're not something to fear. They're opportunities for deep self-discovery.
So our triggers are actually valuable guides.
Absolutely.
So Wilber mentions the empty chair exercise as a way to reclaim those projected qualities.
It is a good one.
I'm curious, how does that actually work?
It's a powerful visualization technique. Imagine the person you're projecting onto, or even a figure or a recurring nightmare, sitting in a chair in front of you. You engage in a dialogue, asking questions, and even switching roles.
Wait, so you're saying talking to an empty chair can help with nightmares?
It can.
I've got to hear more about this.
Often those nightmare figures are symbolic of repressed material. By giving them a voice in this way, you begin to understand and integrate those hidden parts of yourself. It's a way to work through those emotions. And sometimes even resolve the nightmares themselves.
That's incredible. It's like we're finally giving those silenced parts of ourselves the attention they've been craving. And what's really interesting is that Wilber suggests a lot of our relationships are unconsciously built on these shadow projections.
We project our needs, insecurities, desires, and the other person might be doing the same back to us. This creates a fragile foundation because it's not rooted in genuine self-awareness.
So if we want authentic connections, we need to clear out our own shadows first.
Absolutely.
That's a pretty big takeaway right there, wouldn't you say?
It is a big takeaway. And it leads us beautifully to Wilber's next stage, Awakening. This is where things get really interesting.
I'm definitely intrigued.
Okay, good.
What does awakening actually mean in this context?
Well, it's about recognizing your true self. The part of you that exists beyond thoughts and emotions, even your experiences. It's like discovering the constant hum beneath the ever-changing melody of life.
So it's not about becoming someone new or better, but uncovering who we already are at our core. That's a pretty powerful idea.
It is. And many spiritual traditions use a practice called neti-neti to help with this.
Neti-neti.
It means not this, not that. Imagine trying to describe yourself. You might say, I'm a writer. I'm 35. I love hiking. These things are true, but they don't define your essence, do they?
They're like labels, roles we play.
Exactly.
But not the real me underneath it all.
I'm starting to see what you mean.
Exactly. Those are objects of your awareness.
Okay, but not be awareness itself.
Right.
Wilber, drawing from traditions like Zen Buddhism and Vedanta, points out that the true you is the observer.
Okay.
The consciousness that's always present, no matter what's happening.
Can you give me a visual for that? That is a bit of a mind bender.
Sure. Think of the sky.
Okay.
It's always there, vast and unchanging.
Right.
Thoughts and emotions are like clouds passing through that come and go.
Right.
But the sky, your true self, remains.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So by letting go of those temporary identifications, those clouds, we're actually getting closer to our true nature.
Beautifully put.
That's a liberating thought, isn't it?
It is.
It makes me think of those moments of clarity and peace you sometimes experience in meditation. Is that tapping into that true self?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Practices like meditation help us tune into that unchanging awareness, that stillness beneath the mental chatter.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is that Wilber connects this awakening to the next stage of growth.
Okay, let's dive into growing here.
Let's do it.
What does Wilber say about how we expand our perspectives over time?
Well, he brings in some really interesting research on how our perspective-taking abilities develop.
Okay.
There's this experiment with a two-colored ball, red on one side, green on the other.
Right.
Researchers show it to a child and an adult.
Oh, I think I've heard of this one.
Yeah.
They ask the child what color they see and then what color the adult sees, right?
You got it.
Okay.
Young children often say the adult sees the same color they do.
Right.
Even if the ball's facing the adult differently.
Yeah.
They haven't fully developed the ability to understand other perspectives.
It's like their awareness is limited to their own viewpoint.
Exactly.
But as we mature, we start to understand that others have different experiences, right?
Exactly. And this ability keeps evolving throughout our lives. The more we grow, the more we can hold multiple perspectives, seeing the nuances of situations, instead of just black and white.
So as we grow, we literally expand our ability to see the world, to hold more complexity.
It is true.
That makes me think about how our beliefs change over time, how we become more flexible in our thinking.
That's a great connection.
Yeah.
And this growth isn't just about cognitive development.
Right.
It also involves our emotional and spiritual intelligence.
So it's about becoming more compassionate, understanding, and connected to others.
Precisely. As we expand our awareness, our ability to connect with others in a meaningful way also expands.
Okay.
We can move beyond those initial judgments and reactions.
Right.
And see the shared humanity in everyone.
So in a way, these three pathways, clearing, awakening, and growing, are all interconnected, right?
They are.
We can't truly awaken without clearing out our shadow.
Correct.
And we can't fully grow without expanding our awareness of who we are.
Right.
It's like a beautiful upward spiral.
What a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most important things for our listeners to remember.
Okay.
It's not about achieving some perfect state of being, but rather a continuous process of growth and evolution.
So even if we've done a lot of inner work,
Yeah.
there's always more to discover,
Yes.
more to integrate.
Absolutely. There's always another layer of the shadow to uncover,
Wow.
another level of awareness to reach.
Okay.
That's what makes this journey so fascinating.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion, but in this case, it's a beautiful, infinite onion.
Right.
With endless potential.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of approaching this work with curiosity
Yeah.
and a sense of adventure rather than striving for perfection.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive for me already. I'm starting to see how these ideas can be applied to my own life, especially in relationships. It makes me wonder, what aspect of myself am I projecting onto others, and how could understanding those projections help me connect more authentically?
Those are great questions to be asking yourself. It can be challenging to face those projections honestly, but the rewards are worth it. Remember those intense emotions we talked about, both positive and negative. They're valuable clues pointing towards where that shadow work is needed.
So if I notice myself having a really strong reaction to someone, it's an invitation to look inward and ask, what's being mirrored back to me here?
Exactly. And it might not be comfortable at first, but it's a doorway to deeper self-awareness and ultimately more genuine connections.
Let's say I realize I've been projecting my own insecurities onto my partner. What's the next step? How do I actually start reclaiming that projected energy?
Well, that's where those techniques like the empty chair exercise can be so powerful. They provide a safe, structured way to explore those hidden parts of yourself. You can have a dialogue with that projected aspect, giving it a voice, and ultimately integrating it back into your sense of self.
And then there's meditation, which you mentioned earlier. How can that help with this process?
Meditation helps us connect with that true self, that unchanging awareness that sits beneath the fluctuations of our thoughts and emotions. The more we connect with that core of being, the less we're swayed by those surface-level insecurities and projections.
It's like finding that solid ground within yourself so you're not so easily thrown off balance by external circumstances or other people's behavior. So the more we do this work on ourselves, the more we can show up in our relationships with greater clarity and compassion, right?
Precisely. When we're not weighed down by projections, we can see the other person more clearly, appreciate their strengths, and support them in their own growth.
We become more present, more empathetic, more available for genuine connection. That's a beautiful thing.
It is. And remember, it's not about achieving some perfect state of enlightenment. Wilber emphasizes that clearing, awakening, and growing are ongoing practices, not destinations.
So this is a lifelong journey of self-discovery, no finish line to cross, just an ever-unfolding process of becoming more whole and more connected to ourselves and the world around us.
Beautifully put. And there are so many resources available to support you on that journey. Books, workshops, meditation groups. It's about finding what resonates with you and taking those steps towards greater awareness.
So to our amazing listeners, we leave you with this thought. What aspect of yourself, positive or negative, might you be projecting onto someone in your life right now? How could understanding this improve your relationships?
We encourage you to spend some time reflecting on that question, maybe even try out some of the practices we've discussed. Remember, the journey of transformation is an ongoing adventure. There's always more to discover, more to learn, and more to grow into.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.